Okay, the theme for today is a new hope. This is the theme of the day, and the question that I have to pose to the tarot is we're going to look into the system, or the system that runs this simulation, this virtual reality that we're involved in right now. And a new hope came to mind because they speak about I'm not sure where this way is going to go, but they speak about the Death Star, and the Death Star was the power station. So we can liken, you can liken the Death Star to the actual computer simulation that we're in, or this false planet network, the plan network, the plan. It's the plan of the Skywalker, the full Skywalker, or the evil Emperor, because Skywalker, Luke Skywalker, is a hero who's he's joined by the Rebel Alliance and their plan is to destroy the Matrix, or destroy the Death Star. In this case, it's the Death Star. Once they destroy the Death Star, the system implodes on itself. You could say we're involved in the war of the heavens, the war for heaven, or the Star Wars that we're involved in, which is the underlay of what is going on. It's a war for heaven. The war for heaven. So right now, we're in training mode. Preparing to meet the evil ones, or the ones that are behind the system. Because you have to understand, the system is run by those that you cannot see in your everyday. You cannot see them. They're the people who are controlling the system. But once the system begins to implode, once the Death Star begins to disconnect, eventually these shadow beings will step from behind the curtain and into the forefront. They will be forced to step forward. Okay, just before starting this video, we were looking at how it connects to gang stalking, and how it connects to personality disorders known as the sociopaths, the psychopaths, or the narcissists. That those individuals are elements. They're elements of the system. They're like extensions. For on one hand, you have God. He has his emanations, his light beings, who he created, the angels. On the opposing force, you have the the system and their fallen, the system and so-called fallen beings, but in this time now they're no longer, they're more robotic, they're more mechanic, they're more mechanic than they are light. The light has completely dimmed, so now they only so now they rely, or they extract, their aim is to get close to the light beings, get the light from the light beings and funnels it through to the Death Star or the system. So then you have two opposing forces. Selenite could be represented by the moon, the moon, and so this is turquoise. This could be the light beings, with connected directly to source, connected directly to God. Just a visual for you, just a visual to see. But we're gonna consult the tarot about what secrets are is the system holding at this moment, because the system is falling apart, because the more people that wake up and know that these narcissists, that they are connected directly to the system. You could imagine like they're connected to the system because they're an extension of the system. They're an extension. So if you look at it as part of a network, they're the men on the ground, the people that we live around, people that are usually around us at work, people that are usually, sometimes we're even born into families with people like these individuals, and you notice that they're all connected because that's what makes them part of this network, and they send the energy back to the system. So today we're just gonna see what rituals have they been keeping secret? What do they want to share with us? What secrets of what rituals are the system members, what have they done in the past? And also I'm going to look at the present, what they currently doing now. What rituals are these beings currently doing now? Because if you were born into the system, one of the projects that these beings were charged with was to remove the loving, the innocence that people are born with, was to remove the innocence that was the almost like the childhood, the inner child's innocence. There were one of their projects was to remove this from a very early age. So usually they inflicted a sort of trauma before, around the early ages, maybe within months, 0 to 3 years of age. 0 to 3 years of age, before the child actually develops. 0 to 3 years old, around 3 years old, and then from 3 years old to 6, they say, before the child starts beginning to develop his own conscience, because he's still connected to the Father at this stage, but still connected to God in the early ages, like strongly connected. So they were charged with with inflicting a traumatic injury, and then that will split their personality, and then the child would begin to disassociate to get away from this pain. And what we found out is usually they would inflict wounds of neglect or abandonment, and there's many ways they would do this. They would do this either leaving the child alone, to leaving him by himself, or harming him, exposing him to harmful imagery. All these things were done were done by to manipulate the child into not loving this world so much, into not wanting to be here, not wanting to be part of this world. So these are some of the things that they will do, because these loving beings only they thrive on the loving environment. So they thrive on a loving atmosphere, a loving environment, and it's this shock. It causes a sort of a trauma by when they experience that life isn't like that, especially when it's done by people you're supposed to trust, or people that are the ones that are supposed to care for these people. So this is the beginning stages of the training for the light beings before we go into the Star Wars, because here we're gonna find out who we are, who our allies are, and also who the opposition is, because some of those are they're dressed as, they're like wolves in sheep's clothing. They really reveal themselves. They will reveal themselves, because this is the time that they're going to reveal themselves. And also I believe this stone represents Aquarius, or it's connected to Aquarius somehow. Let's see, what rituals have the system been doing? What rituals seem to be? What rituals? Okay, we can start by what rituals? What rituals? Calling in the angels. Okay. Okay, first of all, okay, alright, so okay, we have in this one we have the tower. So now the tower represents perfectly here that the false reality that they created, the system. The tower represents this false reality that they made, that they were able to reign, because the symbolism here. You remember the story that we have in the Bible of when the Nimrod, or one of the first kings, they wanted to build a tower following by way of probably Lucifer, because remember in the beginning Lucifer wanted to build, he wanted to sit, he wanted to be I wanted to be above God. He wanted to be above God by sitting above the Most High. So this tower represents that height that he wanted to raise above in the heavens. He wanted to raise above in the heavens and reign as the King of Heaven. He wanted to reign as the King of Heaven alongside with his associates. But you see, the tower is going to be brought down. God is going to bring the tower down because God allowed Lucifer a reign. He sent him to earth, and he allowed him to reign on earth for a period of time. It was a certain period of time. So the tower represents that which that God decides to finally bring down, because the time is very close. The time is very close. The time is close. So we have 16, 1 plus 7, 1 plus 6 equals 7. So the false reality was that Lucifer, or these system makers, they pulled a wool over people's eyes to believe that they were in control, but they were never in control. Even in this false reality that we're in, God has no peers, so he controls the elements, he controls the ins and outs. In this case, these shadow controllers are being kicked out, they're being evicted from even the false reality. So it's all, you could see this as like a second fall of Lucifer, because he fell once from heaven, and now in this false reality that is built on the planet, he's about to fall once again. Okay, let's see what else. Spirit, what else could you show us? What else could you show us about the system? What else could you tell us about the system? About the system. Okay, so you see, second that we have the Six of Cups. So while they're building this system, while they're building this false reality, and you notice that this reality is cold, because these represents the narcissistic or the sociopath personality. They thrive in the cold. They thrive in the cold. They thrive themselves within the cold. So in the Six of Cups, meanwhile, this represents more of the sunflowers, or people of the sun, people of the solar energy. So while the tower is going to be falling, the beings that were sent by the divine, sent by God to bring the tower down, because remember that the tower, God is operating through his people. God is operating through his people by way of the Holy Spirit. So in this card here, you can see that the Holy Spirit is ever present is ever present with these beings, watching over them, protecting them. And so while this tower, while we're going, the tower represents this world, false reality, this artificial reality world that we're in, represents the tower. And once we leave the tower can no longer sustain, the tower will no longer be able to sustain itself. And this is why you have the beings being struck. They will no longer be able to sustain itself, and God will bring the tower down. God will bring the tower down. So this is telling us that the tower will be, this is telling us that once we leave and enter into this new world, which is made for God's people, once we enter this world and we've left the tower, once we leave the tower, God will strike the tower down. The tower will be struck by God's wrath in ways that are unimaginable, to there will be, the impact will be sudden, it will be unimaginable, but God is making sure that his people are evacuated and have left. They've evacuated and they've left. And they've reached the sanctuary. It's a peace. It's a new peaceful place. It's a loving place where beings are going to be there for each other. We're going to experience a oneness, you see, and we're going to be protected. That the cups, the counterparts are protected at this time. They're going to be protected, and they're going to be provided a way out of this soon to implode tower, this soon to implode reality. Thank you for that, Spirit, because Archangel Michael and the Holy Spirit is always with us, is always with you, always with you. You say the imagery in this card, the imagery represents a lot of coldness, but you see, with God's way of doing things, like He will give them exactly what they thought they wanted. They wanted the part of the soul, the part of the solar, which is part of the sun energy. Then in the imagery in this here, you have the lightning, which strikes the tower, and then it represents the hotness, the hot wrath. So those individuals will be receiving exactly what they will be reaping exactly what they sowed. They will reap what they sow, basically. Those are the laws, or those are God's laws that He made, to rule the universe. And also we have the number 6, which is the number of balance. The number of balance. We have the number 6 almost twice, because here we have 10, 6, 10, a new beginning or an ending, and then you have number 6, the VI, which is the 6 for balance. And then we have number 6 again, which is equaling to number of balance also. So there's different ways of looking at this. God is multi-dimensional. Okay, we get one more card. Let's just get one from the top. Okay, so one from the top, we have the Queen of Cups, the Queen of Cups, the Queen of Cups, the Queen of Cups. Now, I don't normally read reversals of any sort, and I don't read reversals, but I just take it from the how the card appears. But this could be, yeah, I don't normally read reversals, but something tells me that this Queen of Cups is one of the queen that was in the tower. That's in the tower. Because here, you see you have the king and the queen. They've been struck. They decided to. They never left the tower. They went down with the tower, and it appears that this Queen of Cups could be the same individual that's in the tower, and now they're sat here in the past. So we could be looking at before the tower went down. Maybe they were looking at. They knew that they were aware that they were about to face the judgment of God's judgment, and they were trying to appease God's people. They were trying to appease God's people because, see, even this cup, it has these archangels that are in the cup. You see, it's sort of like angelic beings that are being held, that they're holding the cup. Yeah, this could be okay. So just going back to the system, just going back to the elements of the ritual abuse. Like it seems like all the skeletons or the deeds, all the things that this Queen of Cups put into this cup, the elements that they put into this cup will be coming to light, because we're definitely in the age of truth. We're definitely going to be we're definitely in the age of truth, and also the age of the overthrow, and that overthrow of these old systems. These old systems are going to be overthrown. Because of what they were unable to sustain, and rightfully give to the system. Okay, so just a summary of the video is that the system. Okay, that these ritual abuse that they were doing. We spoke about the missing children, the children that were missing, or the children that were orphans, that were neglected or abandoned by their caregivers, you know, those spirits of those children, they still exist, and they, you know, God's taking care of them. God is taking care of them, because whatever happened to them happened before the age of consent, before they were able to defend themselves, and so those children are going to be taken care. They're going to be taken care of by the divine. He transmutes all things into the light, into the positive. They've been taken care of. So you know they're living in heaven with God right now. They're in heaven with God. You know, we'll go back to the Six of Cups, which is the past. These are the past. You know, the children that were sacrificed to appease and feed the system. The children that were given up to feed the system. You know, they're in heaven. They're in heaven, being looked after by the Holy Spirit, and they're developing and growing. Okay, love you all. I'll be back next time with another reading.